Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast. I am Tay, and next to me is Ren joining me on video tonight. This is a special episode for us. This is episode 271. We're recording this on Wednesday, May 15th, 2024, but this is a special edition first takeaway with Tay and Ren to announce and help, react to the 2024 schedule release, Ren. So how you doing? How you feeling tonight? And welcome back on vid here.
Yeah, Tay, I'm doing great, man. I mean, how can we make the middle of May more Packersy than the schedule release? The latest schedule release, we talked about that last week, that it would be since 1991. But it's fun, man. I mean, Wendell Ferreira, he kind of had it out there this morning. I retweeted it, Here it comes. And what's more fitting than the annual schedule leak? And shoot, man, I mean, when Wendell hit that and I retweeted him like 9 minutes after, and he was gracious to send a little heart. He was appreciative. They already had 5 games on their Tay. And that was at it was like 7:30 this morning. So by the time it was, I think you and I talked this afternoon while we were both working hard, clearly. There was 13 of the 17 games already called. I mean, the times weren't quite right, but the weeks were right. So I mean, it's silly. I don't know why the NFL wants to make spectacle of this thing and do it at 7:00 because it's set. We all know it. It's done. But here we are. We have the final times with regard to, is it prime time? Is it a noon game? All those good things. But it's fun, man. It really is. Again, we knew the who and the where. We just didn't know the when. And now we have it, and you get to start kind of crossing them off and get our first take on what is the Green Bay Packers 24 record look like today. You think it's 16-1? You feeling it?
We will see. We will definitely see. But
right.
As of 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, they officially announced and released everything. And I was kind of gathering information for our broadcast here, and I didn't have the times and the networks and all that stuff. But then I finally got that after 7 p.m. our time. Was able to load up our graphic. But before we get into that, Ren, there's a little stat thing on NFL.com. There's a little definition of what happens here. I have a little quote here. And the NFL uses the power of Amazon Web Services, or AWS, for its schedule making process. There are approximately a quadrillion or an AJ quadrillion possible schedule combinations for every season, and over 26,000 factors to take into consideration. Some of these considerations are stadium availability, travel requirements, primetime games, competitive fairness, and division rivals. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there that, we've seen those commercials and stuff throughout broadcasts and stuff, Ren. The NFL uses AWS, but they use this to help them calculate the quadzillion possibilities that this is. But still, after all of that, that super computer calculating, it still seems like sometimes you're like, really? They scheduled that?
That's what you came up with, right?
Yeah, that's what
at times. Although I will say, when we get into the meat of this here in a minute, I think it turned out this year pretty favorable for the Green Bay Packers. But I remember hearing something about a year or two ago, Tay, back in the 80s in Major League Baseball, and we know they play 162 games a season. There was like one lady that did that in an office and figured that out in the off season, how all that stuff would work. And that's incredible. And now they have, AI algorithms trying to figure out competitiveness, fairness, division rivalries, travel times, etc. What are the best matchups week to week? So things come a long way, but nonetheless, it's interesting. I wonder what Amazon gets in kickback for that with their little agreement with as one of the 3 streaming services now. We found out today there is a third, Tay, as Rob did with us. There's a third outside of Amazon and Peacock. There's now Netflix
Netflix.
in the
So
mix.
yeah, and
Mhm.
I think I have that little snippet here up to say, yeah, Netflix is going to stream the 2 Christmas Day games.
Which
Uh,
are Wednesday football this year, Tay.
Wednesday football. So yeah, we almost have football every day of the week now. But I think there is some contention with this whole Netflix thing, streaming thing. I don't particularly like it because you have to have a sub for that. And obviously, if you're watching Packers games, you're going to get them local market style. So you don't really have too much to worry about. But as an NFL fan, I'm sure a lot of people are out there in the universe. We want to see all the games. We want, especially on Christmas time. It's a holiday. You want to sit around with family, watch some football. So you got to have a Netflix account.
Have some food, get tired, a couple drinks, relax, fall asleep, watching some probably not great matchups. I don't know if you have those up. I'd like to hear them, Tay. But yeah, that's
So
Wednesday football should not be occurring.
it's contentious. I think right now the snowball, it seems to be going down the hill, collecting all sorts of streaming services as it tumbles down and crashes into the fandom. Yeah, exploding with millions of dollars of bills flying everywhere.
Yeah,
I
make it
wanted to
rain, Tay.
I wanted to get
Absolutely.
your opinion of this. This was the opponents we knew for a long time.
Yes.
And what, like, we've seen this before for a few months now. And I guess generally, without getting into the new schedule here, what was your opinion of this? Like, looking at these home game opponents and away game opponents, like, what did you think about that initially when you saw that?
Well, I mean, the NFC North, obviously, at post draft day, and we have one of the toughest divisions on paper in football moving forward. So that doesn't matter. You're going to play your division twice. That is what it is. Getting matched up with the Niners again, we know that's always a test. The AFC South, some new up and comers, but not a particularly strong division, I would say, Tay. So, I mean, for the most part, I didn't really care about the whole thing. Obviously, we got the NFC West. Outside of the Niners, the Rams are, they're the Rams. They're kind of moving away. Obviously, Aaron Donald retires. Matthew Stafford's getting a little old in the tooth, as they like to say.
Holding the horn.
It is what it is with some of those things. Seattle, I think, is pretty unproven. The Cardinals, I don't know if Kyler Murray can get it done. So I think, with your NFC West and AFC South, I think they got a couple, at least on paper at this moment, divisions to play that are somewhat weak in my mind, other than a Texans and a Niners of the world at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I also look at this as kind of favorable coming into today's release of the schedule. You have teams like San Francisco 49ers, you have the Texans, and you have, Miami coming to town. And I think that's important
Mm-hmm.
for those games. And then you have the away game with the Eagles. That was going to be a hard one, I think. And
Right, but as we know,
now it's on neutral field. So
you
I
got it.
love that. I love that.
A neutral field with everybody's generally should be healthy going into that game for the most part. Playing 3 preseason games, we know that a lot of starters are not going to see a whole lot of action of those first 3 preseason games. So really going into Sao Paulo, that should be a pretty even test with two teams. The Eagles have lost a ton of guys
Hmm.
with regard to a lot of player changeover, some retirements, some guys leaving in free agency, some guys, just kind of aging out of the process. And so I think the Philadelphia Eagles had a wonderful draft on paper this year. I think they did great. And they generally do. I think Howie Roseman is one of the best GMs in the NFL outside Brian Gutekunst and John Lynch. I think those three guys are always in the top 5. But I think the Eagles had a lot of changeovers. It's going to take them, in my mind, a little bit to get onto their feet. And obviously Brazil, their number one team is the Green Bay Packers. So yeah, that was kind of a nice thing we found out about some weeks ago, that really, a tough away game in Philly, difficult fan base, that ended up being a neutral to almost Packer friendly site.
Yep. So you gotta love that. That screams, even advantage to me. So I love it. I think that almost you can kind of take that away from being in an away game, in a uh, contentious area like Philadelphia going into that place. That's basically eliminated now. So
Yep.
Ren, let's get into it. I'm going to show the graphic of the schedule. Boom, here we go.
Put on your readers there, Tay, because that is some small print.
Well, you got to fit a lot of information in there.
Yeah, my old ass has got to get some of those. I got to get some bifocals, Tay, because this thing is even I'm nearsighted, but man, I got to really get into this to make sure I got my P's and Q's minded here.
Well, while you're looking at that, we have 9 home games, 8 away games. 3 of the home games are gold package games, and those 3 are Minnesota in week 4, Detroit in week 9, and then the last game on January 5th in week 18 against Chicago at home. That one, we don't know what time or network that's on, but those 3 are the gold package games. We'll come back to that, but we've got 8 noon games, only 3 3:00 games, and then 5 primetime games. And I'm counting in that first one in Brazil as a primetime game because it's the only one on. It's at 7:15 p.m. Central Time, and everyone's going to be watching. So 5 primetime games, and I think that is probably the limit. I think there's a cap on primetime games that they give to teams, and I think it's 4 maybe, but I don't know if they consider that Brazil game a primetime game, but that's kind of the lowdown of the types of games that we've got here. But when you saw this, Ren, I guess this is the first takeaway edition of the schedule release. So what did you think? Like, what are your first takeaways?
I love the schedule, Tay. I think it really allows the Packers to, get off to a really hot start. It's really kind of the meat of the season that happens after the bye week that gets a little tough there for a short period of time. So, I mean, when you just kind of take a quick look at it, we just talked about the aforementioned game in Sao Paulo against the Eagles, and then you're home against the Colts, who, maybe they've got AR-15 ready to go. I'm not sure if how he's going to be. He was a rookie last year and then, sat out the second half of the year on IR. So I don't know what the Colts are going to look like. The Titans, at this point, they're kind of a mystery, but I don't think this is a very good football team. Minnesota is just trying to get their legs under them by week 4. Is it J.J. McCarthy? Is it our guy Sam there as a starting quarterback? The Rams, I think, with the retirement of Aaron Donald and Sam Bradford.
Wow.
Our guy, Matt Stafford, getting a little old in the tooth there. I don't think they're much of a threat, to be honest. They are obviously in Green Bay. You go to Arizona against Kyler and company. I don't think Kyler's much. Obviously, super tough matchup, but you get the Texans at home. How this one, Tay, is a noon game baffles me. You have 2 of the youngest, up-and-comer quarterbacks in the NFL. That screams primetime to me. Why that's a noon game, I'm not quite sure, but that'll be definitely primetime watching for us at noon on Sunday, October 20th. Then you go to at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is always kind of a mystery, man. And they never quite play up to the billing. Trevor really hasn't proved anything as the number 1 pick some years ago. And finally, you get Detroit right before you go to the bye, Tay. And you get a week 10 bye, Tay. That is about as beautiful as you can pick a bye, right smack dab in the middle of that thing. You come out of that with the Bears, and I think they play the Bears right before that. They play on a Thursday, Tay. So the Bears are going to be short-winded there going into Green Bay. The Niners, always a tough go. Yeah, it's in Green Bay, but we know how those matchups have been. The Dolphins on Thanksgiving night, I'm a little like, do I go to this thing? The tryptophan's going to be going. Am I too old now to rally to get myself ready for this thing? And then you go again, another Thursday back to back. So kind of at least, you get that short week from San Francisco to Miami, but they're both at home, thankfully. And then you get a week in between with the Thursday night game then at Detroit, and then kind of get a breather there. You get that mini bye going Thursday to Sunday at Seattle. It's a long road trip out there, obviously. And then you come back Monday, a couple days before Christmas against the Saints. They're coming up at cold times in Green Bay. That's not a good football team. And then finally, you finish out with a couple division rivals at Minnesota in a dome. Weather's not going to be a factor there. And then to be determined where that'll be, depending on how Caleb and the new look Bears look against the Packers on the 5th of January. Again, my other takeaway, I think it's a pretty favorable schedule today. Right off the bat, I'd say 11-6. And I will also, 11-6 right off the bat, say I'm going for it. And I hate gold package people because I'm a green package guy, and they get all the division games. Really? They get all 3 division rivals.
Tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel about this,
Green Bay. Thanks, Packers. Thanks, NFL. That's some garbage. Give me some Lions. I want to see some Lions. I don't care about week 4 against, the Vikes. They're trash, whatever. We don't care. Blow that horn. But, come on. I want to see some Caleb Williams to end the season. I don't get to do that. That's ridiculous. Maybe I can just, sell the Dolphins ticks for some Bears ticks, and I get over myself.
That's what I think you can do. You have options, Ren. You could get the tickets, swap them out, whatever. But that's the last game of the season. That's in January. People are going to sell unless somehow Bears are doing good this year. I think tickets will be available for that game, no doubt. But I 11-6. Okay. I'm feeling you. I mean, we can really only the expectation now is a little bit greater than last year. They don't have as much breathing room and margin of error anymore going into the season because of what they accomplished last season. So yeah, I think you're right on that track. I like your rundown. I agree with all of that. Some of my highlights here that I can see. There's just no long streaks of at home or away, which I really dig. You have back-to-back away games, in December, but maybe that's okay because it's in a dome and then it's out on the West Coast. So you
get that mini bye. I mean, you go from the 5th to the 15th, Jay. So
right, that mini bye is great because it's at the end of the season when you kind of sometimes need one. You have a chance there to rebound if you're doing bad. And I think I like that for the main bye week in week 10 there. It's perfect in the middle of the season. We've always liked that. We've usually gotten that in the years past. So I really dig that placement. It gives time for injuries to bounce back. If you got people on IR, they could only be gone for or coming back around that time, or if they need a little more time, you say, well, after the bye, we'll get this person back. So I love that. So yeah, there's no short turnarounds really. There's only that one turnaround. I think, what is that? That game, November 24th and then November 28th. So San Fran to the Dolphin one. That's the quick turnaround.
That's the brutal stretch right there. Yeah, I mean, you have tough opponents, and you do it in a very quick fashion. You play the Bears, you turn around a week later, play the Niners, and then the Dolphins. That's the toughest meat of the schedule, I would say. And then Detroit. I mean, that 4-game stretch day is pretty difficult. And you throw in, I guess, even, the 5th game there with a long road trip out to Seattle. I mean, that's definitely, if there's a tough part of the schedule, I'd nail those 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nope, you're right about that. We're just lucky that there's 2 home games in that short week, so we can stay at home and get back into rhythm, some kind of schedule.
I agree with that.
Traveling then, Chicago week 11, first time we play them. I hear you. I would love to, maybe have that earlier. That's the first time we see Caleb Williams against Jordan Love halfway through the season. I think that kind of stinks, but whatever. Maybe we'll be up for that. Although it's after the bye week, we kind of have that bye week curse a little bit going on with Matt LaFleur. So I don't know if that's going to stick this year, but that game's going to be exciting. And so, yes, we know, some of these teams are probably going to be better than other teams, but generally, halfway through the season, some teams are coming out of the woodwork and they're really getting things and they're hitting on all cylinders. and you never know what you're going to get with some of these teams. So timing is usually what you're looking at. You're looking at cadence of schedule, that sort of thing, where the bye weeks are and where those mini buys fall. So Ren, I think this is favorable. I love this schedule that came out. I don't see any major issues with it. Everyone is going to have kind of like some point in the schedule where it stinks and they're, oh, this part of the schedule sucks, but that's everybody. And I think I glanced at like a strength of schedule list. I think we're right in the middle, maybe 13th or something. But even looking at, knowing who the opponents were coming into this release here tonight, I still thought it wasn't that bad. And some of these teams aren't like juggernauts. We're not going against Baltimore Ravens or the Chiefs or anything like that. Yeah, we do have the Niners, but they're coming to our place in our town. So I love that. So the schedule is great. I'm excited for it. Have no issues with it. And it just makes me more excited, to be honest
Yeah,
with
for
you.
sure. When you look at the truly tough opponents, obviously, you're going to get your division foes away and at home. But you look some of the non-traditionals, the Niners, the Dolphins, as you mentioned, the Texans, they're all at home. Some of the toughest matchups are going to be in your house. So
Yep.
take care of business. Again, I think 11-6 is pretty doable with the schedule that happened. We didn't talk about, but I do love also 8 noon games. I still love the noon game, Tim. I'm a noon game guy. The older we get, I think we both probably would agree. Noon games get a little more fun. You just kind of, start your Sunday off right. Just get into the mode and watch some football like it was like, when we were kids. Yeah, noon football is great, man. I love a noon kick.
And that's, it's a contrast to that 4-game streak of primetime games, end of November through most of December. You've got 4 primetime games, so you're gonna have those weekends too to do whatever. So I dig that too. I think the Packers belong in the spotlight. I think there are some teams that are going to be pushed. I think if you saw that today, the Jets are, I guess, going to be in the primetime games also a lot this year, showcasing Aaron Rodgers. So hopefully he's healthy enough to get on the field this year. But the Packers, they tend to not reward. Reward is the wrong word, but like showcase the teams that they want to put out there, and it seems like the Packers are back in that category, in that classification,
and really never left. Listen,
Yeah.
the Packers are, America's team, Jay.
I think so. The universe's team.
Yeah, they are the universe's team. Thank you. I like that today. That's the way to say that. But yeah, we know that they've never not been relevant the last 30 plus years amongst somebody else that likes to call themselves that. So no, I think the schedule is really favorable. It's fun. I loved it as it was kind of peeling out this throughout the course of the day, and I'm pretty excited about it, man. How can you not be excited to talk about Packer football and where we might think they end up? But I loved also that you pointed out, not a bad stretch, going on the road for multiple weeks or couple here at home, couple on the road. It works out pretty nicely, pretty favorably. I like that you pointed that out. But I didn't hear an official take from Tay, his first takeaway when he saw the schedule. Like, what are you feeling, Tay? What is a reasonable win-loss, projection at this point, day one, 5-15-24, feel like for my guy Tay?
I think that it looks to me like a 10 to 12 win season. You picked 11-6, and that was probably where I'm going to be at. It's kind of tough to say 12-5, because that's pretty good. That's pretty tough.
That's over the top good. You're a 1 or 2 seed for sure.
Exactly. So I think that's probably our ceiling or ceiling-ish. Are we going to actually do that? I don't think so. I'm just gonna go 10-7. I think I think we get in the playoffs. Maybe it's not the 7th seed, or maybe it is the 7th seed. Sorry, but I don't know. I look at the Packers probably dominating their division again. I don't see the Vikings as a threat. Obviously, don't see the Bears as a threat. Lions
At
is the
least not
other.
year one. At least not year one. They
Yeah,
could
this year.
quickly become a threat, but not yet.
And I think we can take at least one of those Lions games. So that's already favorable. So you're talking what 2, 4, 6. You could be halfway there to just in your division. So I think, yeah, I'm just gonna go 10-7 just to be safe, play it safe, and not get my expectations too high. Because what happens with that, Ren. It's a quite a fall down to the ground.
May 15th is when you say 16-1, because
Yeah,
we're going to
right.
do this again right before the season breaks, and you'll be like, it's 9-8, whatever. Let's get through this thing. This is where you got to just be over the moon, man. We got summer in front of us. We got OTAs and mini camp coming. I mean, just be over the moon about it.
All right, 11-6. I'm doing it. 11-6.
All right, you joined me. Thank you.
But I mean, last year we were talking, what, 8 games? Like 8 was gonna be good.
I said 9-8.
Yep.
I said 9-8. Guess what? Yep. 9-8, my guy.
And is that the benchmark? Like anything under that would be a disappointment, correct?
Oh, if they're worse than 9-8, yeah, it's a bad year.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you got to push 10, 11 wins here. Are you pushing for the NFC North? I mean, we should be in contention with that. Do you have to win it? No, but I think we're expecting them to play ball.
I think truly, Tay, the Packers got to push the Lions for the division crown. And let's be honest, when you look at the NFC, you look at San Francisco, Philadelphia, Dallas, Detroit, and Green Bay. There's no reason with those other opponents the Packers can't be in the number 1 seed. There's not at this point.
Well, yeah,
we'll do a little exercise. We'll do a little exercise with you and ask you about your Green Bay Packers post 2024 draft. What you think about this Green Bay Packers roster, and maybe why, when you look at it from position groups, maybe they're pretty close to.
You think so? Yeah.
Are you ready to do it?
You want to look through the position groups?
I'm taking you through it.
Okay, well, let's do it.
You tell me, and I want you. We'll do offense first.
Okay.
I want you to tell me, the one position group you see as a weakness on both sides of the football. We'll also do the special teams, the defense, but that's kind of an afterthought. But on offense, technically, guys you're going to have at quarterback, barring injury. Jordan Love's your quarterback, right? Correct. And it's either going to be then the backup, and this is neither here nor there. The backup is going to be Sean Clifford or Michael Pratt.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, decent shape there. Running backs, your position group is Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, and Asia Dillon.
Oh, Dillon's third?
Dillon! Yes, he's third, Tay. Wide receivers, you've got Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Bo Melton, and Malik Heath. Tight end, Lucas Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, Ben Sims, and the return of Tyler Davis.
Mm-hmm.
On the old line, Elton Jenkins, Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker, Sean Ryan, Josh Myers, Jordan Morgan, Jacob Monk, and then a couple guys rounding out your bench, Luke Tenuta, Donovan Jennings, and Caleb Jones. I did not mention the other pickup, Andre Dillard, who could be their swing tackle as well, making the roster. So when you first hear offense, when you look at any of those, does any of them stand out and go, wow, we're really weak in any of those position groups?
No, I don't think so. I think when you put them all next to each other, they're all kind of equal in their own way. Obviously, the running back position is probably, well, maybe in the offensive line, our strongest position, just because of the expertise there and the veteran running back and Josh Jacobs and AJ Dillon. He's been here for a few years. Now, do they, are they performing how we think they should? Well, it's kind of like a new cast of characters this year, so we don't really know. But I don't think there are any weaknesses on this offense. I think now you have another year under the belt. Expectations are a little bit higher, and there's no reason they shouldn't be, and there's no reason why they can't come out, hitting the ground running and doing the great things they did at the end of last season, continuing that straight away. So no, I don't think so. I think you have a starting five on the offensive line that has been around last year. So there's not like any like brand new faces on that starting O line, and you got some depth pieces there. So that's great. Tight ends, same cast of characters. That's great. They did well last year. Tucker Kraft came out and played very well when Musgrave went down. Now you have both of them. So and special teams Tyler Davis, he's gonna hopefully be healthy and he's gonna wreck it too. Wide receivers, we know what's going on there. We have guys that are coming back, and they're all young, awesome pass catchers. And some of these guys will rise to the top again, like they did last year, and some will impress, and will have a huge problem next year deciding who to keep and who to extend and all that stuff. So that's a great problem to have.
Yep.
And then obviously quarterback, Jordan loves the guy, and he's going to get paid, and we can talk about that in a different discussion, whether what that's going to look like and how far they should go with that. There are rumors that that they're not even close or something to.
That's just leaks, Tay.
It's leaks,
that's
but
leaks after
so I don't know if I
pushing
believe
the price up. That's good. That's good. When you're dealing with your agent, that's good agent speak. Shefty's leaking that out, like they're not even close.
That's I never believed Shefty. I never believed him.
Shefty, he's the man behind those leaks there, Tay.
Yeah.
I know how you felt about that some years ago with Mr. Shefty. So
yeah. So no weaknesses here, Ren. Do you see any cracks?
I don't. I mean, when you look at the skill position guys, the tight ends and the wide receivers, and now they're year two together, I don't see how that doesn't even take another step forward. There's no reason not to. You add in just a complete professional player like Josh Jacobs who can do it all. From the running back position, you added in a just extreme talent like Marshawn Lloyd. I think they're in much better position when they had only one great running back last year who wasn't available half the time, that being Aaron Jones. Now you have availability, again, best ability today.
Yep.
That's great stuff, and I think they're actually stronger at the running back position heading into the 2024 season than they were at all last year. So I see obviously depth on the offensive line has gotten better this year on paper. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how, Rasheed Walker plays, as a starter year two. I think he's still going to be the guy. And you have a nice, capable young guy coming along and Jordan Morgan behind him if you need a spell or an injury comes up. So I think they're in much better position than they were last year. So that's great. But let me take you to the defense today. And that'd be D tackle or your interior defensive line. Now in your new 4-3 defense, Colby Wooden, Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, Kenny Clark, and TJ Slayton. That's your depth there. Then you go defensive end or / edge. Now in that 4-3, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, your Van Ness monster, Kingsley, the no longer ACL and a Barre.
Right.
And Brenton Cox Jr. Linebacker today. Look at this rebuilt inside linebacker core. Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, Tyron Hopper, Eric Wilson, and Christian Welch. All linebackers available to the Packers. At cornerback, you have Jair Alexander, Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon, Eric Stokes, Kalen King, and Corey Ballantyne. And then finally, Tay, the safety room. Remember the Band-Aids last year? Now you're talking Xavier McKinney, Javon Bullard, the stick of dynamite, Keaton Oladapo, Anthony Johnson Jr., and Evan Williams. Tay, how you feeling about those position groups? Is there one that's you say, I'm not feeling the best about it, or are you going again? Okay. There's some good bodies there.
There are, and I think that it's really hard not to get excited about this defense, especially with the new coordinator in Jeff Hafley. I think he's going to turn this defense around, use existing players to their fullest abilities, and just put people in the right position, get them to attack, and then attack again. And I think that is going to be night and day difference from this season to last. So then when you look at the players with that mentality, it's just how can you not like what you see here for the next several years at least? and then not to mention other draft classes coming in the next few years. But the defensive line, I mean, yeah, Kenny's maybe getting a little older, but he's still got it. He can teach those guys. He's the veteran. He can show those young players what to do. I mean, Brooks and Wooden have elevated themselves last year. I can't wait to see what they can do. Wyatt, I really hope he shows up like we expect him to. And then Slayton,
Really
obviously,
grew towards the end of 24 or
yeah.
23, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm expecting a lot from the D line. And then you go to edge rusher. We do have some skill players there. I think maybe one player less than I kind of want. I know there's going to be an injury, and I don't know, how far Cox Jr. will go. But you have Gary, Smith, Van Ness, and Enigbare, which all of them I trust and like. I'm expecting Van Ness to take another step. He's got to get up to that level, approach Gary on aggressiveness and effectiveness. So I'm looking for those guys to look. So I think maybe that is a little bit of a, not necessarily weakness, but below what I'm hoping that they are capable of doing. Inside linebacker is a little bit of a mystery, but I'm excited for that. We don't know if they're weak there yet. I mean, the outside rushers and the D line, we've seen those guys play, right? But these inside linebackers, we haven't. And yeah, Quay Walker, McDuffie, Wilson, we've seen those guys, but I think adding Cooper and Hopper into the mix will, and with the new system, will change things. And I don't know what we're going to get yet with that. I just hope that they can hold their own. So maybe that is the weaker link of all the positions here. Cornerback, obviously, we didn't really address. It's all, except for one player, Kalen King. Otherwise, it's the same guys back. I don't know what to think about Eric Stokes, where he's at. So that's a kind of a question mark for me. But if Alexander can stay healthy, then I think we really have a chance for this position to be solidified. I think the guys have confidence in those players, the coaches that is. So I'm really thinking that, I still think maybe one player off. Like I wish we had another depth piece there, but I don't know. We'll see about where injuries kind of lead this team. And then safety is just amazing. Again, we don't know what's going to happen here with this new makeover at safety. Obviously, we have film and we've seen McKinney play. We've seen a little bit of Johnson Jr. How he's kind of aggressive. But with the other guys, all the rookies, like we don't know how they'll mesh and mend and play together and be coached by Hafley. So you can't help but look at that and be excited though to see a forward progression with that with the whole defense. So weaknesses, maybe inside linebacker, maybe safety, just because it's young, right? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, like I've said to the safety room glow up today. I mean, it's a night and day from the Band-Aids we've talked about, but Xavier McKinney and Javon Bullard. And the one thing I 100% agree with you. If you kind of pick at two of those position groups, defensive end / edge rushers and the cornerback group, you wish you had one more really good guy in each one of those rooms. Then you'd feel really good about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if, all things being equal, if they stay healthy, they're going to be okay, especially with the cornerbacks, because you have that nickel piece with regard to the safeties that you can, put in those positions as well. So a little bit that's interchangeable, even with a linebacker too, mix it in pass protection at times. So I think that the cornerbacks get covered up a little bit. I think the real weakness in those position groups to me would be, you just might need one more, situational edge would really make you feel better about it.
Mm-hmm. But we don't know. There's a lot of young players on that defense that could be starting, a lot of the time. So it's hard for me to say if those are weaknesses or not. We could get a step in from a rookie that just fits right in and plug a hole, and we can rely on that person. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I mean, I cannot contain my excitement for this defense and what it can be. And I know that this is May. That's what this is about, right, Ren? You told me to be excited,
that is
so
exactly
I'm super
what it's about
stoked
today. Yeah, it's May 15th, dude. But that's why I want to bring up the position groupings, because you kind of look up and down the roster today. you look at the schedule released today on May 15th, and you go, that's a damn good Packer team, Tay. I
Yep.
mean, let's not forget about, Jordan Love over the last 9 weeks of the season, 18 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, things stay true to form. I mean, he's not going to play at that clip, but the reality is this is a damn good football team. And we know that North rivals will want to talk all the smack, it's unproven, this and that. No, it's a well-built roster. It's ready for prime time, and let's go. I'm just, you can't be anything but over the moon with looking forward to the 2024 season. 4 months from now, we're talking about it right now, and how much fun it's going to be.
We need to talk about defense. I almost forgot.
Yes, I almost left them out. Kicker could be a toss-up take because you got Anders, you got Greg Joseph, you got Jack Podlesny, out of Georgia, another Georgia Bulldog, wants to carry that G. So don't know where that one ends up. What I can say is Danny Whelan's the punter today. That one's going to stay as is.
Yeah.
And I think our boy Peter Bowden out of Wisconsin is he's gonna win the job.
I hope so.
I think they've been trying to figure that out for a number of years, and it may seem pretty blasé on paper, but I think it's pretty damn important.
Like, it might be homer of me to say, like, yeah, they picked him up just because he was a local kid, like out of Wisconsin here, but I don't know. Something just seems right about that.
He was the best guy available in the 2024 draft, and thankfully they didn't have to spend a draft pick on him. And they did 3-4 years ago draft a long snapper, didn't work out. So now I think it's Peter's job to win.
I agree, and I hope that's the case. And I agree with the other assessment. I think it's going to be Anders Carlson. I really do, and Daniel Whelan. But back to the kicker. I think that's the weakest point on this roster. Like,
it can be a big one.
It's one of the most important. We lost games because of it last year, and
it can cost you a dub or two, Tay.
Cost you a divisional round playoff game. I just think that's a huge question mark. That's a area to address, and I don't see them changing their trajectory about it. I don't see them picking up a veteran anywhere anytime soon for any of those, any kicker or long snapper or punter anytime soon. They've got a philosophy and a system now. They're gonna do it, and I think it's the way of things. This is the way, and I don't know. To me, it's not. It wouldn't be my way. I would get a veteran in here. You have a young team. Spend money on a defense player that doesn't really interact with the other team, and they're just out there for one job. You have one job, is to kick football, and I don't know. Spend a little money on that. Get a veteran in here if you got a problem. We'll see.
I do have a veteran in there, Tay. His name is Greg Joseph.
It's true. But man, we will see. I guess I'll give Anders the benefit of the doubt here. Give him through training camp. But I screamed this last year when we need to do something about this, and it never happened. So
remember they had absolutely no competition camp though last year, Tay. It's like Anders,
we were screaming for that. Get someone in there. Let's go. Yep. Nothing.
They had no competition. And I mean, we had the Rich presser last week. We won't really get into it, but Rich likes himself some Anders Carlson, as we know.
He does. He likes his guys a lot.
He loves Keyshawn, and we understand the Keyshawn love, but Anders hasn't earned any of that love yet. But
Keyshawn has proven it. Anders really has not yet.
Right. And then you kind of brought it up, so I had a little note here, but Jared Goff gets the $212 million 4-year deal, Tay. $170 million of that guaranteed, Tay. That's averages $53 million annually. That's some big time money. He has proven it more than Jordan Love has up to this point. He's got more time under his belt. He's really, he was kind of the leftovers in that trade for Matthew Stafford, and he's really made something out of himself out in Detroit. So good for him. But yes, this has spelled this is going to push up the Jordan contract even more. Shefty says they're not close, Tay. They're not even close. What do you think about the Goff contract? how you feeling about the Love contract? Because it's going to start with a 5 and end with a, I don't know.
Honestly, I see Goff playing well for the next year or two tops. I think then he falls off, and you've paid your guy. And is that what they wanted? Is that what they decided to do? I guess. And it goes back to the Matt Stafford one in Detroit that he got a huge payday, and I couldn't believe that at the time. Then you got guys like Watson and Cleveland and Daniel Jones. I just think in general, these contracts are way too high. They set the precedent for bad choices to be made about your quarterback. Teams are giving huge contracts to guys that don't really deserve it, and it ends up, you end up cutting a guy after a few years when it doesn't work out, and then you get tons of cap room. There's ramifications and penalties for doing this. I understand you have to get your quarterback. It's the best position and in the most important position on the team, but you're setting yourself up for this. Like this Goff thing now has risen the price for Jordan Love. And like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Love is the guy. We all know that. And we're not saying that he doesn't deserve to get a huge contract, but just not that big. You're pushing that, you're inflating that so much. Like a single player should not take up more than 20% of team's roster costs. I just think that there should be a cap on that stuff. It's like you're going to ruin your team. It's going to happen. Like you can't keep doing that. And I just don't like any of this. I think yes, they should get paid, but they shouldn't get paid that much. That's just too much. All these teams are just reaching and stretching for. We need a quarterback. We need to sign this guy. And you know, Detroit's doing that to Goff, and it's like I don't know. How long do you think Goff's going to be there, Ren? Like 5 years?
I mean, I think I want to say he's only 29, Tay, going on 30. So I think it's fine. I think it'll work out for him. That last year of the deal, they might be going, yeah, well, at that point, it'll be what it is. But let's put it
Yeah,
this way to you,
29.
Tay.
Yep.
Put it this way to you. The Packers can do a 5-year extension, $250 million, maybe a little north of that. Or they can do a 3-year extension, $160 million, right? Now, if the Packers are smart and they really think they're pretty sure about Jordan, you do the 5-year extension, you get it done because it's a value in year 5, year 4, because you're tacking a 5-year deal is tacking on to next year already under contract, so 6 years. So you get into year 5 or year 4, it's a bargain in where the salary cap is going from there. If Jordan's like, you know what, let's just do 3. I'm going to bank on myself, and he's good. You just cost yourself more money, man.
Yeah.
So it just depends on how you want to look at that. Glass half full, glass half empty. If Jordan's good, get him under contract as long as you can because it's only going to look like a deal 3 years from now.
And the team thinks he's the man. Like all indications are that that's true. Like we've only seen one starting year from him. Things went well with that. Things looked good in the second half of last season. So yeah, all indications are he's the guy. But as fans, as Packer fans, do we really know 100% that that's the truth? That's the case. I don't think it's 100%. The front office might, and that's maybe they'll put their money where their mouth is and ink them. But I'm just a little more tentative, I think, in general about that, and I think it sets a bad precedent to sign bad quarterbacks to long deals and to hamstring your own football team. But in the Packers case, I think this is looking okay. I still don't want them to overpay, but I think it's looking okay to do this.
I think the only scary part is in about 2 years, you're going to have a lot of other contracts you're going to need to figure out. That's the scary part. So, because you have all this young, affordable talent. So, there's going to be some hard times, just like it's going to be for Detroit now. Yeah, they paid Amon-Ra St. Brown all that money. Now they paid Goff that money. And they have a lot of young, good drafted players they recently brought up. They're going to run into similar problems. So It is what it is. We just hope we got the younger, much better version of starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ren. Well, do you have anything else for this this first takeaway season release? Sorry, it's not season release, schedule release episode.
No, man, it was fun to talk about. I enjoyed it. I think it was just, kind of got my juices. I don't know about
Yeah.
yours. It's reinvigorated for the upcoming season. Now that it's like it's there, you can kind of start visualizing that and seeing how that goes. Again, knowing you know, the who and where is great, but now we know the when, and we get to kind of start planning around it, and it's great, man. I love
Mhm.
it.
Yeah. Same. Well, I just wanted to give a shout out to all our followers and podcast subscribers and the YouTube subscribers. Thank you very much. We appreciate it very, very much. Um, I just want to give a heads up. Next week, we are planning to do a video interview. I think you teased it last week, Ren, so I don't feel bad about putting this on the screen right now.
No, not at
It's
all.
it's
We're gonna talk a little Bears football now that they believe they're finally got a quarterback after 70 years. We'll see. We know the Bears are good at ruining them with our our friend Joey Christopoulos, who does believe Big Ten podcast. I don't know if he's still believe with the Bears, but he is a Bears boy
yep.
and living back in the Chicagoland. So we'll get to see what Joey's been up to, what he's getting up to, and hear his over the moon feels about his Chicago Bears. It's definitely Joey is a positive guy. I don't know how he can be after all these years of Bears misery, but at the quarterback position. But he's always a great guest and a fun time to talk. So I'm looking forward to hearing just all that Bears love, right? Aren't you?
Same. Yeah. Oh,
All that bear down crap we got to put up with next week. Yeah.
I can't wait because what we think about it is the reality versus what they think about it. I think it's two different worlds,
Oh,
and
it is. I think I saw one this week, Tay. They're like, oh, remember it was like some Bears Twitter feed. Like, remember the Bears spoiled Brett Favre's return to Lambeau for his retirement? It's like that's all you guys got.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I still like sometimes it gets so like I'm just like again, Bears fans, Matt LaFleur 10, Bears 0. Like, stop it. Just stop. You're sad. It's really sad. It's sad, Tay. You almost
yeah,
like want to like pat them on the back like they're your little brother. Like, oh, I'm it's okay. It's okay.
yeah.
You can feel good about yourself today. Everybody needs a little self confidence. You need a little boost sometimes. It's
Little
okay,
pen.
Bears fans. You'll be okay. You know, here's here's a donut. Feel good about yourself. Just relax and take it easy.
Well, we're gonna talk about the Bears with Joey next week. It's gonna be awesome, and we'll see if his reality really is out there or not about how the Bears will be. But we appreciate everyone listening, everyone watching. If you have a comment about our picks, drop them below in the comments on YouTube or send us an email, info@packeruniverse.com. Head over to our website. I got some stuff laid out there for you, packeruniverse.com. So, again, thank you.
Yeah, Tay. Appreciate always talking some pack with you. But until episode 272, Tay, on the pup list with Joey, and we get to talk about some Bears and a fourth round punter on the pup list.